Hi, welcome to the Brief Book Reviews channel, otherwise known as An Old Guy Reviews the Book that he's read this week. So what's the old guy read this week? Well, the book I've read this week is called I Have Some Questions for You by author Rebecca Makkai. It was published here in the UK on the 23rd of February 2023, so relatively recently, and was critically acclaimed. I haven't read any of the author's previous books, although one of them was The Great Believers, was shortlisted for a Pulitzer Prize, so I guess the pedigree is there, and I thought it was worth a read. So what's it all about, I hear you say? Our story is told by a lady called Bodie Kane. She's a successful professor of film studies and a podcaster. She's returning to her alma mater, her old school called Granby in New Hampshire, to take a mini-mester, a short course on film studies and podcasting during the winter break. And she's going back to the school with mixed feelings because she didn't particularly feel as though she was part of the scene when she was there for 4 years. She always felt a little bit of an outsider and rebelled a bit, certainly in her last year. But the main reason she's slightly anxious about going back is that one of her former roommates, Thalia Keith, was murdered when she was there as a child. And the person held responsible, a chap called Omar Evans, who was one of the physical trainers at the school, was tried and jailed for the murder of Thalia. A lot of people felt that Omar may not have been the person that committed the crime, but the school and the local police were in a hurry to hush it up and move on. School reputational-wise, police, just because they felt it was an open and shut case. There was a host of podcasts from the true crime people and a YouTube channel of people speculating that it may have not been Omar, and all that's been ongoing in the years since Omar's conviction. So Bodie returns to Granby, takes a class, and things take a turn for the worse, where she's trying to forget the previous events at Granby, when one of her class, who's in the podcasting class, she's told them that she wants them to make a podcast about Granby, anything related to Granby. One of the class wants to make a podcast about the ongoing questions about the murder of Thalia Keith, and clearly Bodie's got conflicting views on this matter, conflicting thoughts on this matter. So that's how the story whizzes along. We get the social media side of things, where the true crime people are on it like a carb on it, as we say in the UK, and Bodie's wishing they weren't. And obviously the new podcast that's being produced by a student, originally one and then two, they're digging away at what happened in those times. So Bodie's feeling somewhat uncomfortable. There's a side story where her husband Jerome gets cancelled for an event that happened in his past, and we get this study where Bodie is almost is a bit of a hypocrite, because a lot of the book she is talking to a person who she thinks committed the murder, whilst also being a bit worried about the true crime speculators. So a little bit of hypocrisy there on Bodie's behalf. So book moves on quite nicely, and in that case it's just standard whodunit, who really did the murder. We end up with in the present time in 2022, where all the people are being corralled into a hotel, being sequestered for a hearing which could lead to a retrial of Omar, and that in effect is probably the most interesting part of the book. So a worthwhile read, but if I had any comments to say, probably the last bit, where they're all in a hotel together in the modern day and they're worrying about the evidence, the new evidence that's coming forward for the potential retrial. It's like the world's worst school reunion, because some of them can talk to each other, others can't, because they're witnesses. So that in itself would have been a novella. I just felt the book was too long. It's 400, he says, checking his notes, 435 pages. I can't understand why the editor didn't just say, look, this is quite good, but P.S., it's way too long. This story could have been told in 300, 350 pages. In itself, it's quite a reasonable story. I just felt there was too much of a backstory, far too many people that were superfluous to the story, too many scenes that were retold. We know what's happened there. So all in all, I'd give it 6 out of 10. It's not a bad read, but you do have to stick with it. 400 odd pages. I didn't feel particularly grabbed, wondering what the next thing to happen was going to be. So it's okay. It's not too bad, but it wouldn't be the top of my recommendations for 2023, put it that way. So that's it for this week's brief book review. 10/10 till we do it again. Thanks for watching. Bye.